It's a beautiful tone. Popped on that ultra mid.
Sounds like I'm trying to select a character in Wave Race 64. This is not.
Jesus, what a fucking reference. God.
Hey, welcome back to Basic Gear Review Podcast. This is episode number 3. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
is our third one. Yeah, we had some fun plans for this episode that sort of kind of fell through. We're going to hold on to them for episode 4, A New Hope.
That'll be cool. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you guys like that one, huh?
Wasn't ready.
But we got some cool stuff to talk about anyway. We have, as of right now, today is August 18th. I don't know when this is going to...
2017.
2017.
Just for the future people.
I don't know when this is going to come out, but tomorrow, from present recording time, is Shred for Cash 6 Base. That's really hard to say.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be cool.
So, if you haven't heard our podcast, I'm joined by Nick Maffei and Will Agtang.
What's up?
Hello.
Hello. And we just chop it up about bass. So, Nick and Will are both going to be judging Shred for Cash. So, you guys want to talk to me a little bit about what you're going to be looking for?
Bass playing, hopefully. That's
Yeah, primarily.
That is a prerequisite to win.
If you show up for the violin, I'm going to be stoked, but you might not win.
What about cello?
Ooh.
Oh, cello.
You got a bass.
It is a sister instrument, actually. There, yeah.
Sisterman.
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 Oh.
I'm going to be looking for Nick's SVT Classic up there, but I'm not going to see it, which is unfortunate.
You're damn right you're not going to see
I
that
gotta
thing.
use
That
my
thing do not leave my
Basement
possession.
500.
I like your Fender. I like it. I got some qualms, but I do dig.
I have qualms.
Qualms.
I have qualms, okay?
Whole palm of qualm.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you going to be looking for? Because that's actually a really tough question for me.
Yeah, well, I guess it kind of speaks to what the instrument does or what the instrument's role is in a band. You know, logically you want to first think okay, it's bass, it's a support instrument, you play the lower note of what the guitar player is playing. I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, there are some really well respected bass players who pretty much did that. They just kind of followed the guitar player, and I guess that's cool. You play real tight to the guitar player. I thought I was going to maybe compete, I guess originally, so I've been listening to a lot of different, especially like punk and metal and stuff. That's not really a style that I'm super proficient in. So I've been listening and trying to incorporate some of that stuff in my playing, and it definitely has a voice all of its own. A lot of guys will think it just follows the guitar, but no, there's a lot of punk bass players and metal bass players and stuff that have a style and approach all their own. I think we talked about Geezer Butler and Steve Harris. Lemmy was a real launching point for me in more heavy bass playing. So, I guess if the bass player is going to go up there and they're going to be doing the rock thing, I want to hear, I want them to hear
Burton.
Cliff Burton, totally cannot forget about Cliff Burton. I want to hear the aggression. I want to hear the power. I want them to be, almost hitting the instrument harder to some degree and really pushing those notes out there. But not necessarily just playing, single notes. I want them to kind of be exploring the voice of the instrument. And the full range of it. Whereas obviously we have players who take a lot from Jaco Pastorius. Well, they'll use harmonics or 16th note straight play with calypso rhythm, and I want to hear a lot of that too. So I guess I don't want to hear just players sticking to single notes. I want to hear them kind of exploring and pushing themselves. I think even if they are just going to play straight stuff, I want to hear them really push themselves and try to be really creative. That's what I want to hear, I guess.
Over to Will.
As a bassist, I like to do what you have to do when it comes to settling behind the guitar, you know what I mean? But really filling space with little runs and licks here and there, especially if there's a guitar solo happening, just kind of fill more sonic space. And so I think it'll be interesting to see people like how they do that without a full band. You know what I mean?
Right, without a
so
drummer
maybe like
or a
have,
guitar player.
have
yeah.
like a song or some kind of progression in mind, and then just kind of play over that. I feel like if I were in it, that's something I would do. I wouldn't really approach it in like a super calculated way. You know what I mean? I would just kind of feel it and go for it.
Mm.
And I'm interested to see how many people do that, and like how many people get up there and just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just like go with it.
And just straight improv.
Yeah,
where
and
some
see
dudes have it written out.
like what they come up with, because I feel like you don't get to see that very often with bassists.
Mhm.
So like I'm excited to see what people have hiding in there that they like want to do but never have the opportunity to do. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And like
Yeah.
you were saying with like punk and stuff, you listen to like something like The Descendants, like Milo Goes to College. Every bass line is like nothing like what's happening on the guitar. You know what I mean?
Right.
And people like don't appreciate punk and metal stuff as much because they just assume like, oh, you know, if you don't listen to it, you just assume it's all like very one-sided, which
Yeah.
it can get there after a while. But that's not to say there's not a lot of talent in both of those. You know,
Right, no,
genres of
you've got
music.
like Fat Mike and, you know, but pretty
Oh,
much
I love Fat
anything.
Mike.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally. He's awesome.
You remember that run? This isn't Fat Mike, but the run in Maxwell Murder, Rancid.
Oh, and
He's just going.
I was going to say that next to anything off of Rancid.
Yeah.
Any Rancid song
that
you
one's
can
just
pick.
I got a soft
So
spot for
cool.
that song, but
Yeah.
so cool.
oh,
Yeah, that's a lot of production. And, you know, Mike Dirnt from Green Day.
Yeah, he's
not
got some-
just filling Billy Joe. Or, you know,
Yeah.
not just following Billy Joe.
He has the kind of thing I was talking to you about earlier, where the things he plays are melodic. They're not just like the right notes. You know what I mean? He's playing
Right.
like melodic things behind what's happening with everyone else, and that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Dookie, throughout all of Dookie, he's just got like great
Hooks.
little bass lines all
Hooks
throughout
for
the whole
days.
thing. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's tough because it is both a melodic and a rhythmic instrument, you know. So it's like where do you follow and what's the right what path do you follow and what's the right time to follow that path. Like you just mentioned taking a solo and like filling in and stuff. That's something I've always felt I got to be really careful with because I don't want to step on the guitar player.
That's a very
you
good
know?
point. Yeah.
I mean, especially in a band like you where you have two guitar players, right? So you have one guitar player who's taking a solo. You got one guitar player, I assume, is like doing chords and stuff. What do? Do you follow that guy? Do you kind of almost take a little solo yourself at the same time, or like what is appropriate? Because you don't want to step on somebody's toes,
yeah.
or unless you guys are both going to solo at the same time, in which case go for it.
I don't necessarily like solo per se. You know what I mean? I just make what's happening on the bass line a little more interesting, just a little more movement, but not. I don't try to take away or anything from that necessarily, and I don't really think I do in what I. You know what I mean? Because I'm not like. I've never been one to really take a solo, like be like, oh, look at me, look at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just kind of accent things and like make it just a little funner because everybody expects the bassist to just do, you know, and it's like that gets really boring after a while. So I do what I can to not step on toes. You know what I mean? That's definitely not my intention when I do it, but you bring up a good point.
That's one of the hardest things to
tough.
do.
Yeah, it's tough to find the middle ground there.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to or I should say not to do, but to not do. You know, because you're following two roles.
Yeah.
You know, you are both a rhythm and a melodic player, so it's hard to keep everybody happy.
And in the band I'm in, the way a lot of like the guitar, the two guitar players both are like straight chords almost all the time, you know, and maybe just like little noodles here and there. So I like to make it more interesting by adding little things. That's like when there's not solos happening, you know what I mean? I just like to put little melodic things, like I was telling you, just to make the song a little bit more like 3D, you know what I mean? Multi-dimensional, instead of just like a straightforward, like you're just playing the chords back and forth like an acoustic singer-songwriter type of feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it spices it up a little bit. It's nice.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you can't let something fall flat. Who I never asked you. Who is more the soloist in that band? Is it Trevor or
Yeah,
the
it's
other
Trevor.
dude? Okay,
Trevor.
cool. In
Noah
Knucklehead,
does, like,
by
little-
the way, Knucklehead.
yeah,
Check them
Knucklehead.
out. Yeah.
Noah does like little.
I put a video up not that long ago of them at Surf Rodeo from
Yeah, that was fun.
about a month ago now.
Yeah.
Damn, a month ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
I'm be dead soon.
that
Time
was
is
a cool
flying.
video.
That was cool. That was a
Came
fun
out-
show too.
Yeah,
It was
came out
really
really
fun.
well. Sound was good.
I played pretty well, which is good.
Yeah.
You dropped the pick a couple times, which was I got
Yeah.
close-ups of you. picking
One
it up.
time I did it on purpose, and then I realized, oh, I'm not done with that. So I had to walk back to the like where I threw it and pick it up. Good stuff, though. Good stuff.
I did that one time. I was like trying to be cool on stage, and like I like did like a pick part, and I did like a cool pick slide and everything, and like I flicked it, and like obviously was like, yeah, flick the pick back to fingerstyle, and this super nice guy was like, oh no, he dropped his pick, and like ran up and grabbed it and handed it to me, and I was just like, and I was like, thanks, bro. Like I took it and had to play the rest of the song with the pick because the guy was such a nice dude. I'm like, all right, I'm playing this song with the
Oh,
pick
that's
from
kind
now
of
on because he was
unfortunate.
just a nice, and he was like, yeah, and gave me this super nice smile.
He was so
I was like,
stoked.
bro,
He's like,
you're
I
so
saved the
cool.
day.
Yeah, he did. I was like, I can't take that from him. This dude's like a homie now.
God.
It would have been wrong
hilarious.
of me. Yeah, it was funny. I'll never forget that.
I got you, bro.
Yeah, I totally. Such a nice thing to do, man.
Oh, man.
So if you're listening to this, thank you, and I'm sorry.
Imagine if somebody the Monterey Pop Festival came out with a fire extinguisher when Hendrix was out there doing his thing. Bro, I got you.
Oh, dude.
Everything's fine. I'm here. Smother it.
Hendrix would have been pissed.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Start spraying
God.
Hendrix like, dude, it's gonna be okay.
Everything's cool. How's your
Hope
shirt?
didn't get your
How's your
afro
shirt?
or anything.
Oh my god, like pulling Michael Jackson.
Ooh,
Get burnt.
get sick burn, bro.
Literally and figuratively.
Oh man, back to the shred for cash thing. I don't think I'm going to be a judge. There's a chance, but I'm going to be doing video. But the one thing I'm really excited about seeing is the versatility. I want to see dudes going from fingerstyle to slap to pick style to crazy distorted to harmonics to just as many moods as you can fill in that time. I think that's going to be really cool because my role in this whole thing that we're doing right now is I like to kind of consider myself the producer as, you know, it's kind of the best way to put it. But the one thing that you'll never admit, Will, is that, and people have commented, and I fully agree, is that you have a knack for knowing what the pedal we're doing is and playing the pedal, not playing the bass so much, as weird as that sounds.
No, I understand that. That makes sense.
So for me, I want to look for people who would be very adaptable to a different style. You know, like, there's people that, I play rock or I play punk, and that's cool. But if you got a gig for a funk thing or something, they're like, we're not going to pick you, bro.
Yeah.
You know, or if I have a video and you're sick and I need this guy to do a delay, and he's like, well, I only play metal.
Yeah.
Like, well, dude, I need you to do some sweet ass harmonics or something. You know.
Plus, like, even it's just nice to be able to know all that. You know what I mean? Because then, if you are playing in a metal band, you can pull from your other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just focusing on like things that other people have done in metal, you could
Agreed.
pull harmonics out
Yeah.
of somewhere else. You could pull funky things out of here and like make what you do your own. You know
What's
what I
his
mean?
Absolutely.
name? What's his name? Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse has always been a proponent of that. He's like, dude, I study like funk. Like I've seen him like lay down some funk and stuff, and
That's
he's like,
so cool.
just so I can do it in Cannibal Corpse if I want to.
Yeah.
Not that he's like, not that I'm necessarily ever going to do
It's
it.
just
but
nice
I
to
wanna
be able to. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
jinx.
there's always that chance that you might not be in Cannibal Corpse forever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
Like
mean?
pull a
Like-
Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
You know, right after Rust
And
in
if
Peace,
you
he's
didn't
like, "Listen,
learn
this
those
isn't
funk
enough for
lines,
me."
you're done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Now that raises an interesting question though: is that what if somebody comes up like me? I mean, I'm not good with metal or punk and stuff. Like I can fake it, but it's definitely not really my. I can barely fake it. You know, like it's not really my comfort zone. What if hypothetically someone comes up and they're like, I just want to play jazz, you know, or I just play blues or whatever. And what if they're really proficient at that? Is that maybe going to like?
Well, I
Would you
think-
consider docking their score because they weren't as they weren't they couldn't play a lot of stuff. They just had mastered one specific style.
Yeah, I would dock them a little bit in one area, but then they'd get massive points in another. Because even if somebody's really versatile, but not mind-blowing in all of them, just good enough to kind of pass the bar, he's going to get a mediocre score in ability and a good score in versatility, whereas the other way around, you just kind of switch those numbers. So I feel like there should be, X number of categories. Like, okay, how was dude's talent? How was his originality? How was his versatility? His, pick another category, and then just kind of maybe make number, out of 5. Okay, versatility is 3 out of 5, playability is 4 out of 5, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of how I would roll it.
What categories are going to be judging then? I mean, what? I think you bring up a really interesting point, which that's something we haven't really discussed, especially if you and I are going to judge.
Yeah.
We should pick 5 topics that we have to really consider.
Okay, yeah, such as-
timing, like because dude, if somebody's slipping time,
Yeah, like tightness.
all over the place,
Yeah.
you know?
Versatility. That's a good one.
Creativity,
Creativity.
because we're allowing them to bring their pedal boards. It's going to be running
That's
through
cool.
your amp, but you can bring your pedals just in case you're like, well, I'm a fuzz player. Cool, dude, you can bring your fuzz. So I think use of pedals, how creative they're using it. Maybe there's one passage where they put a octave, a fuzz, and a flanger, and they make this big spacey thing, and then they bring it back down to some harmonics or something. That's got to count for something because you're using not only your skill but your equipment to your advantage.
I'm I think that might be a little bit of a slippery slope though, because then dudes are going to get start hiding behind it. I think
That's a good point.
I think it's easier if someone goes up with a pedal board and doesn't know how to do it. That's going to hinder them overall.
Yes.
I think if someone comes up with a pedal board, you shouldn't give them extra points for using a pedal board. You should, if anything, strengthen their vote in, say, creativity or just like melodic content.
Yeah, and I think it'll be obvious which players use it as a crutch
Right.
versus which players use it to make something special.
Yeah, I had a discussion with other Will, not this Will,
Will Hansen.
about Hansen about using a looper, and he was saying no, we're not really sure if we're going to do loopers. And I was like, well, if someone brings a looper and they screw it up, their timing's going to be all over the place. Their melody's going to be all wrong. They're not going to be playing well, and it's going to tank their entire score.
Yeah,
So if you allow a looper, it's almost going to cut out the people who don't really know what they're doing because they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, he and I had discussed all pedals are fair game except loopers
Except loopers.
and tuners. You got to tune by ear. That's gonna. No, I'm just kidding.
I could see how that makes sense. Yeah. I just feel like, as like Nick was saying, since it's like the rhythmic and the melodic instrument, I feel like a looper would be kind of beneficial, but it's too late for that now. So whatever.
I was going to bring one if I was going to play, and I'd have bought you. Take it from me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. It gets messy. It gets messy
It
fast.
easily gets messy. Like you really have to be good.
And
You got to know how to use it.
yeah, you really do.
You know, it's easy to just turn on a distortion pedal and just play all day, but like, it's hard to use a distortion pedal well. So same
True,
thing.
yeah.
Same thing
To
with
apply
even
it
harder with the
properly and
looper.
everything, yeah.
You know, because looper, your time's got to be on. You know, my friend, Johnny.
Johnny on the bass.
Yeah, Johnny
Yeah.
on the bass.
Johnny,
Yes, that one.
Dude's in good shape and courage.
Dude's one of the best bass players I ever heard. But we were hanging out and I heard him throw down with a looper, and I'm like, man, this is not doing him justice. Just because his timing was not dead on. I was like, man, this guy's one of the best bass players I've ever heard. And it's like, it's all falling apart because he's not getting his looper right. And he was already into the song by the time he had started the looper. So he's like, ugh, what do I got to do? I'm screwed. And he's got to ride it out. So he had to go into it, and by like the fourth measure, he had to cut the fourth measure in half just so he could anticipate the loss in time.
Yeah.
And it was good. I mean, he was able to kind of work with it, but like it was just not right.
How do
in like
you-
a band setting.
No, he was doing solo stuff.
How
Okay,
do you go
okay.
that? How do you miss half a measure?
I'm probably.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was like noticeable. Like ooh.
Plus, that's the kind of thing too, where if it starts to fall off, it could get further and further off as it keeps going. So that kind of makes sense. Where you have to make up for that extra bit.
Yeah.
Because-
So it just got ugly. It turned who is an incredible. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it turned who is an incredible bass player, and he kind of fell apart because he wasn't prepared to deal with the equipment that he had brought. So I don't know. I don't want to give anybody extra credit just because they brought pedals.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
You know what I mean? But like if they use them and they use them well, they should get points for that.
I definitely agree. I'm
And-
interested to see what people do with pedals. I didn't realize that was an aspect that we were using pedals, so that's going to be pretty cool too.
I thought it was going to be all clean too,
Yeah.
or at least like maybe like if someone's allowed like two pedals. You know, I'm going to bring a pedal that just cuts bass tracks. Just pre-record like Jack Up a Stories and just step on it and just stand
and
there.
then
just mime it like. "Mwah."
just like get that bass face going, so
Yeah,
people don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
try to stop you.
Yeah,
Eyes
totally.
closed the whole time.
Give you the who farted smell. You know.
Oh boy.
Oh my glob.
Well, here's the question I've been itching to ask since we started. Nick, when you were prepared to compete, did you have anything prepared?
I did.
Can I hear it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Of course. To be
on?
fair, you guys have actually kind of no, it's not on right now. To be fair, you guys have actually already kind of heard this stuff, and I think we did it. I used it in one of the videos. But there's a song that I had. It was the one we had done on Mother's Day with the delay pedal.
Oh,
and it was a song
yeah.
I had written for my mom
With the
before she
space
passed
spiral.
away. Yeah, with the space spiral, and I had written for her before she passed away. And I was gonna do it, and I was gonna do the show, and I had kind of merged it with a couple different ones. But I'll do like a little bit for you guys.
right, well, here's good practice. Judge it.
Yeah. Do that.
Oh, okay.
Versatility, playability, creativity, and that's. I feel like 3 categories would probably be sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. You switched it up from your beginning little into like that like chord playing type thing, which was really cool, giving it like just different dimensions and stuff, which was really nice. And like, I don't know if it's like, see, this is where I suck because I don't know theory. Mode that you were playing in, I don't know if it's that, but like it was so cool. It was a really like, it would jump back and forth between like minor and then like real dissonant sounding stuff for a second, and it just like there was a lot of movement and a lot of like different emotions coming out of it. You know what I mean? And it was really cool. And then I just noticed like a couple little like note slip ups here and there, but
Especially during the beginning, I totally missed it. I
Plus,
totally squibbed the very beginning.
it happens. It happens. So
Yeah.
but I dug it. I think it was really, really cool. And that was one you said you wrote for your mom?
I did. I wrote it for my mom. Yeah, she
That's
was a
really
preschool
cool.
teacher, and for some reason, when I was doing this part, the that always just like it kind of reminded me of like, you know, na 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 na. Just the
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
like you like tease your friends at school.
Uh-huh.
You know, Johnny boogers in his face, whatever. So I don't know. I was like, I did that, and then go to the major chord, and then the kind of the dominant 7,
Yeah, see, that's cool.
and then you go to the chorus. I guess would be right. which
Yeah,
is-
I like that like resolution part right there. That's really
Right,
cool.
yeah. And then I wanted to incorporate some minor stuff after she had passed away, which is when I started doing something like
Yeah, I
this.
loved that change.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Right, when I, yeah. And then I do this chord right here,
Yeah.
right? Pretty heavy stuff. So.
See, in
Well,
my
like it's-
opinion, other than for the couple of note flubs, which is, technicality, playability, I wish it was longer.
Mm-hmm.
And the part when you went down here with the chords and it got big, a dirt pedal would have made that huge.
Oh, cool.
That's where the effect could come in, because I felt like I knew what maybe it sounded like in your head when you were composing it, but it didn't quite translate as far as the dynamic of it went.
I usually do it longer. I wanted to cut it a little bit short. Since you asked, I usually do like a little part like this. I'll show you real quick. I usually do, because this was the part you're referring to.
Yes.
Right? I'll usually go, right, kind of signature light, but
Okay.
Oh, see, now
I'll do like-
versatility would have opened up big time.
oh yeah.
you know.
If all that would have happened, yeah, definitely versatility would have gone up.
See, now that's cool too.
And then
Ooh.
that's another thing I was going to merge it into was a tune I wrote way back in college called Universal Trip, which kind of did this thing. And then it goes into like a minor thing, like a
Oh, Cashmere.
gets kind of Tool. You put on like a flanger.
Oh,
That is like Tool.
And then you do, you know,
ooh.
so I had
That's
Ooh,
I had
see, that
three-
whole thing I would have been.
three passages. I had passages.
happy.
Three passages I was gonna do. I was gonna do the one I don't have a title for the first one, but the second one was Universal Trip, and I was gonna just kind of like weave them together.
Cool. I could see how you could lead that right into that.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
really
same
cool.
key.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then it becomes kind of psychedelic, sort of droney thing,
Mhm.
and then you go back into the chorusy thing of the first 10. So I would have done something like that.
That's cool.
If I had the option, I would have used some chorus. I probably would have used a
Ooh,
little,
yeah.
but I mean, I didn't write it with chorus in mind. I wrote it just for a solo bass.
Yeah, it would benefit though. See, because I think when it comes to the pedals, how we were talking about, you can hide behind it. Like, the guy turns on fuzz for 3 minutes and shreds on fuzz. It's like, okay, could you have done that without it? Maybe not. But if you would have kind of known, okay, this passage does this, I need this and this, then turn that off and let's go chorus for the pretty part, and then maybe we'll do fuzz and flanger for the big part, and use the pedals to work with the dynamics. That's more what I would look for in the pedal usage, rather than like, look at this sweet fuzz, bro.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, that's good advice. That's actually good advice, and that helps prepare me a little bit for.
Yeah, that piece definitely could have benefited here and there from different effects.
Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I want to someday record it. So.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really cool.
You could even benefit from a reverb almost all the way around.
Oh, dude, for
subtle,
sure, for sure. Especially during the 159, the where it kind of speed up a little bit in the very beginning, just real spacey.
The whole vibe of everything you just played to really like reminded me. Well, up until you started getting all slappy and showing us the other stuff, with the first piece you played was totally like reminiscent of Portrait of Tracy too. You know what I mean? Kind of like free of time, doing your own thing, like just like feeling it as opposed to like it was more artistic. You know what I mean? Than like most things, because like. When I see you play,
so
it's
much,
usually,
man. Oh my god!
When I see you play, it's usually like real funky, like you're just like riding it. You know what I mean? Which is awesome in and of itself. But I'd like never seen you play something like a whole piece that's like expressive like that. And it really is like a piece of art as opposed to just like a piece of music. You know what I mean? It really dips into both sides. I really liked it.
That's
really
dude.
Cool.
Thank you so much, man.
Problem.
That's really, especially coming from a player like yourself.
I appreciate.
Cheers,
that.
brother.
Thank you.
Cheers
to you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we had to sip.
Oh,
yeah.
I know Will's not going to like this, but I would love to hear what you would have done.
I was never going to be in it. I didn't prepare a damn thing.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna hand this to you anyway.
Let's talk about what we got, even though we've talked about it before. Just let everyone know what we're playing.
Oh, I got my number one. It's the American Special. What year? 2011, I think. 12. And it's got this SPB4, Steve Harris, Seymour Duncan P pickups, and it's got an Omega bridge on it.
That's their newest edition. I wanted to.
Oh, yeah. So I had this
Oh,
on.
you and I were having a convo about this earlier today. Yeah, let's do that.
This thing came with just like a standard, like Fender bridge, like a typical normal one. I had this Omega bridge on, what was it, my jazz bass? My Squier.
The natural blonde one.
Yeah, exactly, with the EMGs, the one we did the EMG video on. So I had it on there for the longest time because that was my number one for the longest time. And then I got this, and I was going to buy another bridge, but I was like, wait a second, I never play that Squier anymore, so I might as well just trade the bridges, you know what I mean, because it just made more sense. So I've had this on here for a couple months now, and I've noticed that, like, sustain is just, like, off the hook now. It's so nice because there's so much more touching the body, you know what I mean? So, like, the note rings through like crazy, especially with harmonics. The harmonic sustain and, like, they pop a lot more with this bridge, I've noticed, which is really nice. And it also gives a real like a grindier quality that the Fender ones don't have, and that may be because I haven't notched the saddles in it, so it's like vibrating on it. But I don't know, it gives it like a really like high mid type of grind to it, and I'm not sure if that's the bridge. I've just kind of noticed that since putting it on, and like I said, it could be because it's not notched and it's something like that. But I just remember when I first got a high mass bridge, I just got it to get it because I was like, oh, I hear this is good, so I'm gonna get one. And like
because you had the badass too.
That was the first one. I had it on the fretless. I think that was the first one I ever had.
No, and your white P bass,
the one that got stolen. That's right. Someone broke into his van. Still
I don't care.
It was so like it was a sentimental thing. It was a gift from him, and like it was. I loved it. It was so cool.
Oh, may their socks always slide down into their shoes. Man.
Exactly.
I think I bought it at Instrumental too. I did.
It was before we were like homies.
Yeah,
and it was just like we would just go there because it wasn't in Oxnard.
But I think after it got stolen and I bought his jazz bass, I think I bought it from you.
Really?
Way back. Yeah, that was 2013.
God, have I been working there long?
That's a question for you.
I've been working there for 5 years now. So yeah.
Damn.
Well, been there for 5 years now.
Yeah, I definitely bought it from you because I remember that you like kind of knew of Will. You're like, oh yeah,
what?
Guy.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, because I'd seen you come in and I'd be like,
okay.
He's chill. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how weird that we all become friends and stuff.
Real talk for 2 seconds. When you guys came in, I was like, man, those guys are cool. I want them to be my friends, but I'm not cool, so they'll never be my friends.
Oh, my God.
They'll never be my friends.
Why? That just makes no sense to me. I'm not cool.
Yeah, no. You guys
We're all lame.
came in. Dude, you're wearing a Street Fighter 2 hat and a Seinfeld shirt right now. Don't give me that shit.
Hold on,
you are way cool. No, yeah, put this on the Instagreasies. Please do.
No, I'm not going to do any hands.
Bow, ba-dow, bow, bow.
There we go.
Got it. Oh, that's a good photo.
I wear cool clothes to hide the fact that I'm not a cool person.
I just
Kidding.
bought.
I'm just kidding.
I just bought. I have to show you guys this since we're sharing pictures. I just bought. I'm sorry.
Took a
It's
photo
a
and we're
radio
sharing
program that we're discussing.
Look at these
photographs.
visuals on this.
Oh, this is
solely
messed up.
sound.
Right now.
No, I just got a YMCA thing so I can be not such a fat bastard.
Membership.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, membership. The YMCA thing is the professional term, actually, William. But
Sorry.
no, but Wesley was like, Wesley's my wife, by the way. But Wesley was like, hey, I went on Amazon and I was like looking at workout clothes for you, and I found something cool that you might dig. And I was like, really? What is it? She's like, well, you just have to look at it. And I looked, and it's like one of those quick dry like workout shirts, but it's the armor that Vegeta wears in DBZ.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
so absolutely awesome. I
And
would
she
never
got-
take it off. I would wear it
Oh,
everywhere.
dude, I know, it's so dope. It hasn't come in yet, but I saw it and I was like, yo, order.
That's
Place order.
so awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really like eagerly anticipating that coming in. And I also got one of those like the snapback hats. It's black, and offset from the center is the Master Roshi kanji. Like offset from the
That's
center in
so
white, so it's a
cool.
black hat, but in white it's the Roshi
That's
kanji.
so cool.
Yeah.
See, there's like a for
Own
me
your
at least,
nerddom.
There's like a fine line between like cheesy nerdiness and like cool nerdiness, and that hat like falls on the cool side. You know what I mean? Because it's not like, bam, this is Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
It's like you have to know what you're looking at, type of thing.
Yeah.
Or like with this hat, it's like so simple, just straight up says Street Fighter.
It's
2. Like,
clean, yeah.
It's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like okay. So I'm accurately depicting myself without looking like a sixth grader.
I searched high and low because I know I'm going to wear the hat backwards like a lot. I searched high and low for a hat that did not say Dragon Ball Z on the back of it. I searched high and low for that, and I finally found one, and it was like a plain black with just a white piece of kanji
That's
offset from the
so
center. I was like,
cool.
dude, that's dope. That's dope. I mentioned that we're going to totally get off topic, by the way. Sorry, you guys. We're going to talk about Dragon Ball Z for just a second. Remember that? Did you see the meme that I commented on the Facebook post that you made about like, hey, this is our
Oh,
first.
about how your laugh is stupid?
No, is it? Yeah, well, yeah, that's still true. But no, it was the one where you posted the link to like, hey, this is our first podcast. Like, please listen on Facebook. And I responded with a meme, and it was like, hey, that's cool, all the stuff that you said in junk. But anyway, shut up now because we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
All the stuff that you said in junk. What's so funny is that like when people find out that I do basic gear review, like people that aren't musicians, just like friends of mine and stuff or coworkers,
Yeah.
I always show them because they're like, oh, I want to see, like, what is it? And like, you could tell they're watching it and the words are just like going right over their head. They're just like, this is great, man. I'm like, yeah, we got a germanium fuzz with the clipping, like, and all this stuff. And they're like,
Oh,
this
wow,
is
that's
cool. This is very interesting. Good for you.
Look at you doing stuff.
Everybody gets a kick
Aw,
out of
you
my
should
like
be so
my
proud.
voice too, my persona, my BGR persona. Everybody thinks that's
Oh, dude.
hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's the shorthand.
Yeah.
I did
Dude,
not
I
know
went
that.
back and I watched our second most popular video is the MXR Reverb.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it, and you're just like, no offense, but you're so terrible.
No, that's what I was saying to Nick today. Like I was telling him how we're gonna do the
What's up, guys?
yeah, looking all stoned. I told him how we were gonna do the Dirty Donnie one, and I was like, because it's our 100th pedal.
Yeah.
And I was saying like, did you ever see the first like the Swollen Pickle? It was like absolutely atrocious. Like they were so bad for a while.
Oh, my God, yeah. And then
Like,
it
I
just
almost don't want
slowly-
those
you
on
got
there.
slowly more comfortable with it.
Like oh god, it's just like
It's not your first one is not nearly as bad as any of mine. Like, hey everybody, this is Nick with Basic Gear.
yours.
You're talking to a
tripped me out.
librarian
Yours were funny
now.
because I couldn't tell. Like it seemed like you didn't want to be here. That's what you seem like when you're
I
nervous.
was so uncomfortable.
like you just seem like so pissed that Chris is making you do this. Hello,
Hi.
this is a pedal.
Hello. Good afternoon. Please
And,
thank you for
Chris
joining
explained,
us.
He was like, "Oh no, it's just because he's like nervous in front of the camera." And I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't come off as nervous at all. It comes off as like I'm pissed."
I have
It's not as bad anymore, but it was like your first two. was
I have
like, "Does he
RBF,
wanna
dude.
be
I'm
here?"
sorry. I have resting bitch face. Like I
RBF.
really do.
You know what's funny is
I have
like
resting
you,
bitch face.
You have this like little smirk that you do that totally like looks so condescending, and it's so funny. It's the funniest thing.
really?
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, exactly.
You're just like, you bastard. Just like the most smug look.
I think it was the Synth 9. He's just that side smirk. I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm a badass.
So
I got
good.
this.
Damn
So
it.
good.
Damn it.
That's so funny.
That side smirk got me laid, dude. Come on now.
If it works, it works.
Oh wow. Really?
That's hilarious.
Oh, Lord.
It's good. It's okay. It's good. Condescending probably wasn't the word. Smug is the word.
Yeah, smug.
Smug.
Is,
You're just like real like.
This is so much fun for me, guys. I'm having a good time.
so back to high mass.
Okay, so yeah, I've only ever had. I have an actual badass 2 on the fretless, like a legit Leo Quan one, and then I have the Omega on my number 1. And other than, I was telling this to Nick earlier today because he called me because he wants to. I'll let him say that later. The only difference that I've noticed at all, other than tonally, because to be fair, I haven't compared it tonally lately, and I know a lot more about
We
it.
should.
We should. We definitely should.
do a video on it.
Because now I have the ear for it. You know what I mean? Whereas when I started, I really didn't. But what I have noticed is they are almost absolutely, like, in every way identical, except for the fact that one says Omega bass and one says Badass bass too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you were to just like hold them in your hands, they're absolutely identical. It's crazy.
Is your badass made of brass?
No,
It's not. Okay. Okay.
I want one with brass saddles. That was what I was gonna order. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
And then I ended up just putting the Omega on it,
Right.
Because it was just easier. But I prefer brass saddles. I like because I don't like it because I use really bright strings. I use Elixir. I don't use the stainless steel. I use the nickel. But it's still Elixirs are some of the brightest strings that you can get.
It's not necessarily that they're that bright, but it's just they are brighter longer.
Yeah, that's true. You're right because
They're
it's
not
that
actually as
bad. They're-
bright out of the package, but they're just like they stay fresh a long
and that's just
time.
how I like my sound to be. So I feel like the brass saddle would like counteract that real present thing and balance.
It's going
it
to
out a
roll
little
off some
more.
of the highs. Yeah, it's going to
Exactly, which is what
soft.
I wanted to do. But this is working just fine. I have no qualms. I could just roll off the highs on the amp or on, you know what I mean? Pull back the tone a little bit. There's always an answer. But anyway, back to what I'm saying. That my point is that I, so far from what I've gathered, really prefer the high mass bridge, especially if you're looking for good sustain. If you're not trying to like I wouldn't recommend a high mass bridge if you're going to just like put foam under there. Because it's like maybe for resonance, I could understand that. But I've noticed the biggest thing is really sustain. And
Okay.
if you're gonna foam it, it's like you might as well get you could get a better bridge for sure, but I don't know if a high mass is necessarily the best choice.
That's an interesting point. It's not
Yeah.
really giving you what you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you do like I said, that little high mid bite that it gives you, or like it's just generally it makes the wood vibrate more, which some people like. I like that. I know that like when I have a fat strap on and I could feel it in my strap, you know that like there's some good resonance going on.
Something's going right.
Yeah, so that would be understandable, but I feel like for the most part it's the sustain. So it's like an open, wide open type of sound as opposed to a real thumpy Motown type of thing.
Okay.
So that's my opinion on that. And for the most part, I think they're awesome for almost everything. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, no, I called you earlier today because I was about to pull the trigger on one of
Mm-hmm.
them. I was going to place an order through the shop for one of the Omega ones because I have a Mexican standard jazz bass that I acquired not too long ago, and the bridge and saddles are awful. They're just not doing it for me. It's like it's okay, but like I mean, especially if I want to like play down by the bridge and be kind of heavy handed, I'm literally pulling the G string saddle like away from the
God.
yeah
No, that's
it's
not
like not
strong
happening. It's like coming away from the system. So and the intonation is always screwed up, and palm muting and stuff was causing the saddle on the E string to lower completely, totally flat down. Like the grub screws were unscrewing themselves and going all the way completely flat. So I was like, this is just not cutting it. This is not working out for me. I'm done. Yeah, this is
What I noticed
there
with
it
the
is. This
slippage-
looks really good.
What I
man.
noticed with the slippage that you were saying when like you're playing really heavy-handed by the bridge, look at how these saddles, I know you obviously can't see it if you're listening, but like the way these saddles are put in here is that there's like grooves made exactly to the shape of the bottom of
Yeah,
the saddle.
they're
So
not moving.
they are not going anywhere other than up. You know what I mean? If you try to
Yeah.
lift them when you have no strings on, but you could try to move these things and it's like, no, that shit is going nowhere. So I think that's probably one of the coolest things too. If you're not looking for the sustain thing, you're just looking for a more reliable bridge.
Right.
This is a good choice too. So
That was my initial draw, was that like, okay, I need a more reliable bridge, and I'm like, all right, well, if I'm going to get one, I want to get one that's high mass, and I want to get something that has some good contact. And this is a 5-bolt. You know, this screw is 5-bolt, so it's going to be a direct replacement for any of the
just a
Mexican standard
retrofit.
stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, it's super clean. I mean, I don't know, it's way better than what came stock, and I think they're only like $85 for all parts or something like that. They're super cheap, so I was going to order one through the site.
And
I mean,
there's also the
not
hip
super cheap, but
shot.
relatively.
The hip shot kick-ass.
which has interchangeable saddles, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty
Again, inspired by the Badass, if you couldn't tell already by the name.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that you can change the saddles out.
That's
from
very
You can do
cool.
brass, and I think there's 2 other materials. I don't remember what they are. One of them's probably steel or something.
cool.
But
Yeah,
that's cool.
that's a really interesting thing.
The
And then
only
there's also-
reason I wasn't going to do that was I probably would never do that though. I probably would just like be happy with it.
with whatever
Yeah.
you order,
Yeah,
which is
with whatever I
understandable.
order.
Yeah, because aesthetically, like you were saying, this is virtually indistinguishable.
Identical. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So another thing that I was going to mention is, do you remember the Babix bridge we were looking at before?
Love that thing.
That thing was really cool because there's like absolutely no room for any
you
noise.
screw it
Because I've
down.
noticed that a lot of times, if my intonation or my action isn't right dead on and they're not quite exactly even, this spring will really buzz. And that's not just with this. That's something with me sucking and having springs on my bridge. And so the Babix one doesn't have like anything like that. Like it has something in there, but everything is so locked down that I feel like from what it looked like,
yeah.
there would be like you would have to worry about absolutely
The
nothing.
only detriment I can see to the Babix bridge is in its design, how it's shaped. If you're a palm mute player, good luck. It ain't happening.
Oh,
Interesting.
Really? Because I
Interesting.
am.
Yeah, the Babix would not work for a player like you.
I would
It'd
have
work
to
for a
I would have
player
to
like
see it
me.
again because I'm not sure what it looked like exactly.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures, you'll see that the string sit like the saddle height is adjustable on like a kind of a roller.
I remember that.
So
yeah.
you roll it, but you know when the string goes down, you're still in between those two holders. You know, it's almost like an H
so
shape.
it's like
So it's yeah.
I get you.
It
I
doesn't
totally
rest on
understand.
top; it rests in between.
So that really would be kind
So
of weird. You
if
would either
you
be muting
don't
too
play-
much or you wouldn't be muting at all. Like,
Yeah,
there's, like, not really
if you're not a palm mute player whatsoever, that would be my first pick for sure.
This is a good one for palm muting. I palm
Oh,
mute
absolutely.
not all the time, but enough.
Every once
and
in a while, yeah.
There's like it's perfect. It stays so flat you could really find where you want your mute to be. You know what I mean?
Sometimes
It's
I do
really
the Dave
nice.
Ellison thing where I just palm mute and pick it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
great sound. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to palm mute for a lot of dynamic stuff too. Like we bring it down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
bring
it's
it on
like it's
low.
a really cool vibe on bass because a lot of people don't do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, ooh, like something else dynamically happened. And like people, we all know this playing bass that like people don't unless you're looking for the bass, you don't realize that that's what you're hearing. Or you know what I mean? Or like
Right.
it doesn't necessarily stand out, but like you subconsciously notice it. You know what I mean? And so like I feel like that's another like big dynamic thing is when you start palm muting, it's like, oh, something changed. I can't put my finger on what it is because I'm not a bassist or anything like that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, it just adds more to the dynamic range of songs. It's really cool. I never used to do it, and I just started recently doing it. I dig it a lot.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot more resonant too, like real beefy, like the low end kind of cuts through because like similar like when you're chugging on a guitar and like that little second in between your chugs is just like super bassy. You know what I mean? It's like a similar thing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've heard it said that the only time you're ever going to hear the bass is if they're doing something wrong.
That's true. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's what Chris and I are in another band with a guy named Darren, and he always tells me that like he tries to get me to sing harmonies from here and there, and he's like, if I can't hear you, you're doing it perfectly because like because he focuses on what he's doing. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't interfere with what he's doing, then he knows like okay.
So
you're
Will
singing
just
the right
turns his
thing.
mic off, and it's
Yeah, and so I'm
perfect
just
every
like
time.
stand there with my mouth open, mouth the words that he's saying, and
Mouth
not
the words.
No, yeah. So you're right. That's a very good point. If you're not familiar with bass, it's like you
Yeah.
don't notice it until it's either gone or doing
Or
something
wrong.
incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you guys do Seaside Band does what the hell? I am blanking on the song for some reason, but you don't play bass during the verse. And then you come in on the chorus.
Oh, we do play that funky music. Play the funky music, white boy?
What's the other one?
Oh,
He's like, well,
It's like a 70s rock song. I am for some reason blanking on every part of
Something
it
that I
other than the
don't
fact
play
that he
during
doesn't
the
play on the
verse.
verse.
I only what? I probably don't play during the bridge. If anything, I imagine I play during the verse. That'd be weird. That'd be weird if I didn't play
No,
during the verse.
no,
It's
that
like
makes
80% of the song.
No, you come in on the chorus and it's just gigantic.
Ever heard that song? All right now, baby.
That's
it's
the
a-"
one.
Is that the song?
Why did I blank
Oh,
on that?
I was
the
going to
one.
say that's my example of someone not playing bass on a
That's
verse,
the
and that's
one I
funny.
was-
That's
Yeah,
the
free,
song.
free. All right, now that's true. I did. He's dead nuts accurate.
Yeah.
I do not play during the
He
verse of
plays
that song.
nothing on the verse.
And then when I come in, it's huge.
oh my god. Like that's one of those things where like
that's
because
so
you
cool.
don't start at the beginning, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, we're rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you're like, I didn't know what I was missing because now all of a sudden
All kind of low end just comes in and just rips, and then the people come in. Yeah, I even transpose it. There's like a part in the song during the end. It was like, it's all high, and I play it like an octave. Like, boom, boom, I play it way lower just because we're a 3-piece band. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love playing that part because it's just super rumbly and low and. Everybody look at the bass player. It's cool.
on a side note, I really want you to send me a clip of Nick going, So I can make that my ringtone.
It's gonna be the ringtone when I call you. He's done.
Oh
Internet,
my
do your thing.
God, right?
Oh my
That's
God,
so funny.
Hilarious.
Oh man,
No, yeah, that's cool. I think it's hilarious that I just like thought of that song as the example, and that's the
That's
song.
the
Nailed
one.
it.
Yeah.
You
nailed
said,
it.
"Oh, it's like a '70s class." I was like, "Oh, okay, well." I don't know why I sound like Eddie Vedder just now, but
Did you guys see that Mad TV bit where it was like Eddie Vedder featuring Scott Stapp of Creed and Rob Zombie, and it was a room full of guys going,
And Zach Wilde's in there too.
they just hear Rob Zombie.
That dude has no business.
It's
behind
like
my-
high one.
Yeah. It was Eddie Vedder doing the melody, and then it was Scott Stapp, and then Rob Zombie was like, yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
It was the only funny thing that Mad TV ever did. And no one has seen that bit.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's
seen that either.
It's the only funny thing they did in their entire career.
That and like anything with like Stewie. Who was that actor and then the guy who plays the woman who plays his mother? That pairing was the only shit that made Mad TV tolerable. It's like, hey, it's a poor man's Saturday Night Live. I get it. Pass.
Is that what it is? I never even. I've never watched. Mad
Never
TV
watched Mad
in any
TV.
way,
Dude,
yeah.
you're doing fine. Don't
cool.
go out
I
and search
used to
it
like
up.
Mad Magazine.
Yeah, that was the best part about that. Was Mad Magazine. Like Mad TV was like, oh, mixed
I love Spy
media.
vs. Spy. That was my favorite.
I like how those dudes are drawn. It
Yeah.
reminds me of Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
The pointy faces,
Yeah.
the super
Yeah.
pointy faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, Handbook of the Dead.
So cool. Oh, so cool. I saw a shirt with that on it.
I did see. I saw that same shirt.
So
I was
cool.
like, down, super down.
So badass. It's another one of those things where it's like you have to know the reference to get it. It's not just like,
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Beetlejuice shirt.
Totally.
A Beetlejuice shirt would be so stupid.
It's got Michael Keaton looking like a fucking asshole right there.
Michael Keaton.
Oh God.
Oh shit.
I could just the picture they use of him on the cover of the VHS where he's like,
Hey,
Yeah, I know.
legs all. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
oh man,
God.
I know the exact one you're talking about, dude. This is so funny.
You guys ever seen, speaking of Michael Keaton, I know this is going all over the place, but have you guys ever seen the other guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell where they're the cops?
No.
Oh my God. So Michael Keaton is like their chief in that movie. And it's like every time he talks to them, he makes TLC, like the band TLC references without knowing it. And they're like, are you
Guys,
purposely
don't go
referencing
chasing
TLC?
waterfalls.
Yeah. And they're like, he's like, yeah, exactly. He's like, don't go chasing waterfalls. And then Will Ferrell looks and he's like, are you purposely referencing TLC? He's like, I don't get the reference. And then later he's like, they're going to do something secretive. And he's like, you guys got to creep. And he's like, nobody says creep 2 times in a row unless you're referencing TLC. And he's like, I don't hear it. I just don't get it.
That movie was
Oh,
great.
that's great. That's super funny.
Oh, we are so off the rails. I love it.
Oh, yeah. This is what happens when you don't get your shit together.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. My day was so stressful trying to get what was originally planned done today.
More of those? Is there any more of those?
That is the last one.
Okay.
But if you're not afraid of cooties, I don't mind sharing it with you.
I mean, as long as you're okay with getting some of my cooties,
Yeah,
I'm
no, it's
totally
just herpes.
down
Ain't
to
no
share.
thing.
Yeah, dude.
I already have it. So.
Yeah.
Her Pacific Gonolades.
Oh man.
God.
Yeah, I drove to.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I drove to Hollywood.
That's
Fought
fine.
that stupid traffic.
Yeah, I was going to say, for anybody who's not from California, that's
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
terrible
we live,
thing to
If
do.
you're outside
Yeah.
of California,
Everyone
we live
outside of
what-
California is like, oh, he went to Hollywood
that's
today.
fun.
And I was like,
How'd you
oh,
have a-
God, no.
How would you possibly have a bad day in Hollywood?
Getting there wasn't that bad, but getting back was just like, oh, dude, I was losing
a nightmare.
it. I was losing it. At the like, you fucking go,
shaking the wheels.
dude. Like traffic on the 101 or actually any freeway, it doesn't matter. It's just like the most helpless thing. You're just sitting there like, I can't do anything about this.
I can't merge, I
There's
can do
nothing
nothing.
I can do except hit my steering wheel and my seat.
I can't run like 6 miles ahead and punch some dude, you know, like because he got in a car accident or
Oh,
something,
man.
you know.
So anyway, whenever we can find the time to do another podcast, we're going to take every Big Muff that is available new to purchase at your local retailer, with the exception of one. We're borrowing Jeremy Gift's Green Russian Big Muff from the 90s to compare it to the honorable mention of the Russian Pickle. But other than for that, we're going to do every single one. And we have all but 3, I think, we got to just still acquire.
It's funny you should mention that. Sorry to interrupt.
go for
I might actually have access to a black Russian Big Muff. I might have one of the Civil War eras. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, from
That's cool.
96 or something like that.
The only thing that Chris and I were talking about before you got here is that like once you start doing things out of production, it's a slippery slope because it's like, well, if you're going to do the Green Russian and the Black Russian, why don't you do?
Oh, that's an excellent point.
You know?
So he was thinking just do the ones in production. Which
the
made
reason
sense.
that I was going to do the Green Russian is because of the Russian pickle.
Okay.
but
and
they
then
also have that new
now
one
they
coming
have the
out.
new
so
one
it's
coming
like,
out. So it's like,
excited.
Yeah, so
oh,
that's
dude,
pretty
we're-
cool.
I'm going to swoop that up as soon as possible.
Totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Totally.
really wish we had that for this.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold off
Well,
on doing.
we-
the
Do we
video
want to
just for
hold
that
off?
come
Do we
out.
want to delay it a little
I
bit?
mean, we could. It's not a
I
problem.
still have access to the Tone Wicker. I still have access to a couple different ones.
Yeah.
And if anything-
well, see, I gotta kind of return. Some
Oh, you got a little window of
30
opportunity.
days.
42-day window.
42.
42-day window. I mean, that's time. That's a month and change.
When does the new Green Russian come out?
I do some digging tomorrow. I'll be back in the shop.
Yeah, let me know because
That'd
we
be-
can incorporate that.
That'd be dope on a rub, dude. My
Yeah.
EHX guy, my Electro-Harmonics guy loves me
Oh, that's good.
because he's
Oh
Italian.
yeah, you didn't tell Will about this guy. Because
he
your
tried to
impression-
tell me.
I can't do impersonations at all.
Which is ironic because he is Italian. You'd think he'd be able to
Really?
like,
Yeah.
bust out an Italian one
You
or
would
something.
think so,
yeah.
yeah.
Kakamise.
Hey, right? Come on now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh well, no, like I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, dude, like I'm sorry, I can't remember the dude's name.
wow, that says a lot.
Let's call him like Giovanni or whatever.
Dick.
Obviously, he's some, you know."
He loves
anyway.
you. You don't even know his name.
Hey. Say the first time somebody's fallen in love with me, I don't know the name. You know what I'm saying?
No, they-
Changes on the dresser. He got bus fare on the
bus
dresser.
fare. Oh my god!
Oh, that's never happened. No,
I always take them home. I will drive. I'm not an asshole.
I'll give you a lift. Yeah. Thanks
I'll
for
call
coming.
you a lift.
Oh my god! I'll get you an Uber Black. Get some respect.
Anyway,
need-
EHX rep.
Oh yeah, EHX rev. Yeah, I forgot what we were talking about. Bass stuff. Huh. Interesting. We had like a random pedal. Sorry, we had like a random pedal go down, and I called or I emailed him because I do most of my transactions through email, and I was like, hey, you know, can I get a return to authorize for this defective pedal? And he calls me up. He's like, hey, is this Nick of Instrumental? And I'm like, yes. This is he, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? It's Donnie or whatever from Electro-Harmonics, man. How's it hanging over there?" And I'm like, "Whoa, man!" He's like, "Where you at? You in California? You in California?" I'm like, "I'm in California." He's like, "I'm in New York, man." I'm like, "I know where your product's made. Thank you." And he's like, "What's up? You could last name Maffei, man? You Paisano, man?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh my god!
Like he knew. He's like, "Dude, this guy's Paisano." And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, oh, cool, man. I'm fucking, my grandfather's from Italy, man. He came. I was like, my grandfather's from Italy too, man. He's
that
like, we
voice
should hang
perfectly.
out, man.
That's
Well, I'm
insane.
Italian. What do you expect? It's natural. Yeah, dude.
Only half.
That's true. That's true. But that's a lot.
I always
do
be
it
like,
half
hey,
the time.
man, how's it going, man? It's from Electro-Harmonics.
Donnie.
Electro-Harmonics.
Mind you, Chris's dad's name is Donnie,
Really?
That's hilarious.
and he's the Italian one. I'm sure you could guess.
Donnie.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. If we can get that. How much pull do you have to get it early?
No. Are you kidding me?
The only pull I'll have is
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
My love stick.
Yeah. You can't just come out and say it. I was going to make a joke about hand gestures.
you gotta keep.
You can't see
You gotta
hand
keep it light.
gestures.
Okay, you gotta keep it light.
It's a kids program, right? Fuck off with that.
Keep it light, bitch.
It's a kids program.
Oh right.
Seriously.
All right, we're
go to-
about out of time. We went all over the map because
What, Mav?
last minute we had to change our plans.
Real quick, can we just touch?
It's KG. You know what to do.
What?
Will and I are full of inside like movie jokes and TV show jokes.
It's Tenacious D when he does his answering machine.
Yeah.
And Timmy totally just took a hit. He's like, "It's KG. You know what to do." And that's the end of the answering machine.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Just kick it. Would you just one time kick it?
God damn it. He's like screaming
Damn
and
it,
runs out
Kyle.
of breath.
I'm sick of your attitude. I'm sick of your attitude.
Classic.
Jables, I think that's the Ice Cream Man song. I know that it is, Kyle.
Rocket, rocket.
All of my rocket sauce. It's brilliant. For realsies, though, what are we going to talk about, man? We need some topics for how which to tell to
Or
give
how tell to.
for how to tell to. I can't anything since because pickles. What are we going to talk to other bass players about?
Okay, so technique,
Technique.
I think definitely time.
timing.
Timing.
versatility,
Okay.
creativity.
Creativity. Okay.
And that's a solid 4, unless you can think of a 5th one. I'm cool with that.
Well, what are Steve Bailey's 5 T's for bass or whatever? It's time, touch, technique, taste, and
What about dynamics?
I feel like versatility.
I feel like dynamics has to do with technique.
Land in the
Yeah.
same thing.
Dynamic is technique.
Now with technique, that's more or less playability,
And
like how they played it.
it's
you know,
proficiency.
maybe like yeah,
Technique
and
is
like
proficiency.
you can tell if somebody
I like proficiency. I'm going to put that down.
okay. You can tell the way somebody works a fretboard, if they're like if they have a technique that they learned or if they're just like these are the notes I have to play and I'm going to play them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Nick, you can tell by his shapes, he like knows what he's doing and it keeps you knowing like where you are because of how your hands are shaped, whereas I will just fucking play whatever notes are near my fingers as long as it's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good like technique one. And another one would be like right hand, like if it's real just like floppy all over the place, inconsistent, like if they're going like but it's like you know what I mean, like real inconsistent finger movement type of stuff, just
okay.
like keeping it tight, you know what I mean? I feel like that's where technique comes into play. Just
yeah, that's
literal
all kinda
hands,
falls
like what your
under
hands are
technique.
doing, you know what I mean? Because I have shitty technique.
Okay,
So
so,
that's
here's what
why
I
I'm-
think you guys
so
should do.
technique, creativity, note selection.
Oh, we want to go 5? Because right now we have proficiency, timing, versatility, and creativity.
I think some of them kind of overlap, though.
Some of the ones,
But-
I think those core 4 are pretty good.
I think
Creativity-
so too, is maybe the most
yeah, the
questionable
one.
one.
But versatility, technique, and what was the other one?
Well, timing.
Timing.
Yeah, timing. And proficiency. Those are the top
Oh,
three.
proficiency is versatility, right? That's what
Playability, technique, kind of all. Like how.
they're all one
Is
thing.
there
That's
any
all
choked
technique.
notes? Did he miss a note?
Okay.
That's it's all technique.
I'm going to put proficiency / technique.
Okay, that's cool. And then I feel like that's pretty good, unless you can really think of a 4th one. Like you said, note selection, but I feel like that's a little bit too nitpicky of like to be its own topic.
Totally.
I think creativity is good because 2 dudes can both go up there and slap an E. It's like I already kind of saw that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, that's another thing, too, is that we have to be able to judge them independently.
Yeah.
Even if 2 dudes go up and they both play slap and we got to judge them both fairly.
Which dude slapped an E better?
Yeah.
That's true. There's little slaps.
Yeah.
You can do a lot. You know what I mean? Because there's like so many little nuancy things
But
you can
I
do in
think
slap riffs. That's like
if more than 1 or 2 people slap in the key of E, they're going to kind of get docked for creativity, even if their technique is through the roof. It's like, well, dude, could you maybe slap in G? Or something?
Well, how many times are they going to go up? 2 times? 3 times?
I think it's 2 times each.
So if both times they go up and they do the same shit.
That's where creativity is going to really come into play as their second round.
okay, that's good.
So I think if you did all of these out of 5, totaled up your score,
That's good.
then divide it by 2 because it's out of a 10. So if someone's got 20, then they get a perfect 10.
I get you. That's cool. I like that.
Someone's got 12, they get a 6.
Look at
But
you.
what if you have 13?
Then it's something 0.5.
Okay,
and
we'll do
then
the
you
0.5
decide
ones.
whether you want to round up or down.
roll up or down? Yeah.
Okay. I'm into that. Do you have those written down?
I think that sounds
Yeah.
pretty reasonable.
Okay.
I'll
cool.
screenshot and send it.
Hell yeah.
That's nice
Text it to
because
me,
it gives
too.
us like bullet points to work off of instead of just like out the gate, like, what do you think of what I just did?
Yeah, we
Like,
can't do
that.
that.
was
Yeah.
really hard for me to do to you. You know what I mean? That was just really tough because I am not, I don't know. I don't step on toes. That's not my thing. So I don't like judging people honestly. because
That
I
makes
don't
you a
wanna
good ass
offend
bass
anybody.
player. I'll tell you right now.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean like in like social situations.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I know.
But
I totally
get what
understand. I'm just
you're
kidding
saying.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to make sure. One thing you and I got to make sure to do is to not. I'm also to the point where I don't want to watch them play because I don't want some dude to be like, "Look at me with my rock and roll hair and I'm running around and tossing the bass
Yeah.
and fucking looking cool, McGillicuddy." I don't give a shit about that. I really don't. I don't give a shit about cool ass McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
If you can play the bass, you can play the bass. I don't. I suppose that depends on what we want to do. Do we want that to play?
Do we want style to
I
incorporate?
really can't imagine there's going to be anybody going up there trying to like style it out because that's not.
Oh, that
what
was
this
you
is.
who texted me right now. I was like, ooh, I should probably go home. But it was you who just texted
Yeah,
me right
nowhere-
now. I forgot.
Nowhere does it say like bring your style or anything like that. So I feel like that's not something that we should.
Yeah, leave your
I don't want
worry
some
about-
dude to like try to
And
play bass
if
with
some
teeth.
dude is trying to be cool like that, we'll just like overlook it and be like, "That was cool," but that I don't give a shit. Like I'm
If
talking
he
about
plays
your playing.
bass with his
like
teeth,
obviously
dock
not.
him.
Dog him.
Be like, that was stupid. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, let's have some respect for the craft, all right, guy.
Some
How
respect
about
for
you
the
just you get
craft.
one round? Get the fuck out of here.
I'll give you one right there. The big one finger. That's your. I give you a one
You want to play us out?
Play us out. What does that mean? Play us out.
every time. Every time we need to do that.
Before we go, though, I want to talk to our Patreons. If you're on Patreon right now, come here, listen close. Listen close to me right now. Patreon, listen up.
Our Patreonins.
You guys are so
Patreon.
cool. And we really appreciate every last one.
Oh, you look so good. I want to tell you right now.
I love you all so much.
Hey, listen, man, I'm trying to
Thank
talk
you
to
so much for your
Patreons right
support.
now.
We very
And
appreciate
welcome
it.
to listen, you listen, Patreons. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. We love you.
Will's going to play us out.
That's all I got.